Welcome everybody to the Florence Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, commonly known as FUF. My name is Sally Wantz, and it is my extreme pleasure to be your service leader today. I am joined today behind the camera by Jay Gutler. Over here, if you're going to point the camera, we have Catherine Hemmons. She's got a fabulous reading for us today. And say hi to Ray, he's our sound guy. So these are your fabulous volunteers for this particular recording. Again, welcome. We're going to begin our service, as we do all the time, with singing hymn number 123. It's called Spirit of Life. And I'm going to invite Catherine to come on up, and Jay, and Ray, if you'll play that for us. It was recorded by Jeff Lovejoy, so we thank you, Jeff. Spirit of Life. Next Friday at 11 o'clock, and you'd like to come to FUF and watch us record our service, you're more than welcome to join us. We have room for, I don't know, 2 or 3 or 4 more people to be in here. Just bring a mask, sit back and enjoy, be a part of the filming. It'd be fun. 6 people. We can get 6 more in here? All right, so 6 people. Come on. So quick announcements. First of all, if you like movies and or documentaries, Judy Plummery and friends are coordinating such events at City Lights Cinema. And it's a real safe environment. She's reserving the one theater. The next movie, documentary I guess it is, it's called The Glorias. It's a movie about the life of Gloria Steinem. It will be shown on November 12th at 3:45. Space is limited to 25. So which means if you are interested in coming and you want to bring a friend or two, contact Judy at her email called foofmovies@gmail.com. Let her know how many in your party. Tickets are $7 each at the door, or as you come into the theater. So this is something that they're trying to do to kind of build community around movies. It's a great opportunity. Last week we saw the RGB documentary, RBG documentary. It was wonderful. So again, foofmovies@gmail.com if you're interested. She needs to hear from you by October 20th, okay? So, so today's Sunday, right? And we all had a meet and greet with our new minister, Reverend Elizabeth Mount, yesterday on Saturday. And what a great opportunity to meet and greet Elizabeth. And today, Sunday, if you're out and about, you want to stop by at noon, I am certain she's going to be here as well. And then the member care and the program committee will be meeting with her after that. So come by and meet Reverend Elizabeth. So in the e-blast today, you'll notice that we've inserted our covenant of good and faithful relations. It's a piece of paper that talks about our ways that we agree to be with fellow congregants and to the UU Fellowship as a whole. This also serves as a guide to who we ought to be out there in the general community, whether on social media, in person, or in traffic. Be kind, always. Reverend Elizabeth also invites us to participate in classes that she puts on with her other church, the First UU Church of Indiana, Pennsylvania. And one of the classes is called Bible Study, okay? As she says, these classes will be open to drop-ins, and they are reflective sessions rather than debate. Any pre-reading is optional, and there is no barrier to your attention. This is about building narratives and understanding how a story relates to our lives, not about getting the right answer to what passage means. The other she's got going is called The Theology of Buffy. Yes, Buffy the Vampire. We're going to be tuning in on the first Friday of each month at 8 p.m. Eastern Time to watch an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer together, and then reflect and discuss using sacred techniques that can be applied to any sacred or secular text in your life for deeper understanding. While this round of discussions will use Buffy as our source text, the class will help you develop a spiritual practice that can be used in many places with popular movies, shows, and books, as well as with traditional scriptures and poetry. That could be good. Breaking Bad. Let's see. How can I apply this to Breaking Bad? That was such a great series. Does it have redeeming qualities or not? So, just saying. Are there any other announcements that you all know of? We covered them all? Okay. So let's begin our service with lighting the chalice. I'm going to ask you at home to get a candle and light this chalice along with Catherine, who will light our flame. I offer these words from Eric Walker Wickstrom titled, Why We're Here. Here, today, in this place, and with these people, may we listen so that we can hear. May we hear so that we can feel. May we feel so that we may know. And may we know so that we can change ourselves and this world. May this chalice we light our way. Blessed be. I invite Catherine to come on up for Joys and Concerns, and she has a wonderful reading that she will present. And yeah, come on up, Catherine.
Good morning, everyone. First, our joys and concerns. We do this to strengthen our connection in the community as we're having to attend as we do now. This week, I didn't get any information, all is well, let's say, for everyone. And if you know something about someone that needs to come to me and to be aware of for the whole community, please contact me. So I will just, or Sally will just put a shell today. There she will.
Yeah.
And that's for the joy that all is well in our community right now. Thank you. I'll move on to the reading. And this is a reading by Reverend Beckett Coppola. She's from Boulder, Colorado, I believe. Guide us gently into appreciating and listening. Spirit of life, we know there are as many perspectives and experiences of living here in this room as there are people. And by this room, I mean everyone listening and watching. Spirit of love, please guide us gently into appreciating and listening. Assist us to honor that in conversation so that we can see the gift of a collective. Show us how we can find understanding by learning to speak one another's languages. This so that we may hand in hand go deeper into our beliefs through a personal, communal, and perpetual evolution. Ooh, I love that phrase. Breath of life, give us the patience to live into this faith of community. The curiosity to ask loving questions of one another and allow us to be always deepening our spiritual awareness of the worlds within and without. Inspiration, that is this life. Please feel our profound gratitude for the comings and goings, the beginnings and endings, through which we have been granted the opportunity to reflect with openness upon both what is within us, what is within our experience, and that which is outside it. Harium, Shante, Shalom, peace.
Thank you, Catherine. We have a musical interlude this morning. This is hymn number 34, and Reverend Elizabeth has put us in touch with other congregations, other organizations that are pre-recording some hymns, and we'd like to share this one with you this morning. It's titled, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. It comes from Reverend Elizabeth. I'm not sure who the artist is, but I invite you to just enjoy.
Though I may speak with bravest fire, and have a gift to all inspire, and have not love, my words are vain, as sounding brass and hopeless gain. Though I may give all I possess, and striving so my love profess, but not be give thy love within, the prophet soon turns strangely thin. Come, Spirit, calm our heart's control. Our spirits long to be made whole. Let inward love guide every deed. By this we worship and are freed.
Beautiful music. Thank you for sending that to us, Reverend Elizabeth. So this is Reverend Elizabeth's first Sunday service with FOOF. We ask what arises from the soul when we choose to listen deeply to what stirs within each of us. This is her message. What is it that guides our hearts toward the good? Where do we find the divine truths that guide our paths? What does it look like to lead a life of moral courage, guided by our understanding of righteousness? Stories from Reverend Elizabeth's life may be meaningful with you as well, leading us to know one another better, to begin our shared journey as a community. I invite you to enjoy the message titled On Stillness and Soul Sparks.
Many years ago, I was at the Unitarian Universalist Church in Denver, Colorado, when a troupe of actors who do theater of the oppressed came to share a story of immigration. I watched as they unfolded the story of a young immigrant woman crossing the border to escape a life of poorly paid factory work in a dangerous place where she was afraid to raise a child. I watched her own child, now more than 10 years old, playing herself as a babe in arms, newly brought to this country, carried all that distance by her own mother. I heard the grief in this immigrant's voice, saw it in her face, the pain of watching the other actors acting out her mother's death in Mexico. I felt the helplessness of wanting to be there with her mother, feeling trapped by legal status that said any return to Mexico would negate the entire asylum process and make legal status impossible. The need to be with a dying parent was at war with the choice. The need for a place where her children could become educated and be safe playing outdoors. I watched her make the choice to go south again, knowing full well that this could be the difference between a legal path to citizenship and a lifetime of living without any residency status. And I knew in my heart what a terrible, wrenching choice that must have been to make. In those few minutes, I felt all the emotions at play in those impossible choices. And I learned to empathize with this woman, this immigrant, in a way that I had never considered before. I'd been for immigration reform, of course, on a theoretical level, but suddenly it felt real, relevant, personal, and deeply emotional to me. The difference was that deep listening, that story that drew me in and connected our emotional experiences of loss and hope in a way they never had been before. There was a universal need, a common story that we could both relate to on some level. Family, hope, loss, and safety. These were all threads that I could pick out in my own life, resonating with the pull of these varied needs. As I watched, I thought back to the impossible situation my own mother had been in when I was a high schooler and my grandpa had been stricken with a fatal lymphoma. She'd traveled back and forth between Ohio and Colorado, trying to parent and to care for her own parents at the same time, trying to stretch herself thin enough to be present in both places, even as we all knew it was impossible to make such a thing happen. I thought back to her grief, her intentions, her attention being pulled in both directions, the way that we had known that she must go to be with her parents, even though it made changes for all our lives. In the details, everything was different between my own life and this immigration story. But in the generalities, there was a story whose emotional truths were entirely, empathetically linked to my own experience. It is here, in the details and in the space between them, that relationship is created, that the divine lives. In the building of common threads between my story and yours. In the love that is fostered when we open ourselves to being touched by a person's experience. When we look into one another's eyes and hear the voice of someone whose life is like our own, just beneath the surface. It is interesting to me, compelling, that the human brain has developed over the millennia with something called mirror neurons. Mirror neurons are a set of cells in the brain specifically designed to take in the expressions of another's face, the body language of another's posture and subtle movements, and translate them not into language or logic or analysis, but directly into an experience of the other, the emotions, the movements we mimic. Mirror neurons serve many functions, letting us learn from imitating the movements of another person, everything from ballroom dancing to chopping vegetables or changing the oil on your car by watching a YouTube video. But they also serve to make storytelling a core entertainment, a core function for human communities all around the world. Humans learn by feeling one another's voices and affect as we tell or act out a story. We don't simply hear. There is a deeper listening. We are within the stories that we tell one another. We're emotionally present to a well-told story in a way that makes us the protagonists of one another's narratives and builds our relationships through a deep, fully embodied empathy. This, I think, is what makes religion so compelling to humans as a species. There's an overarching sense of belonging to a narrative that we all have in common. This is what makes Unitarian Universalism somewhat unique as a religion, because we are a people who have not been joined together by a single divine story that we each and all believe, but by a common commitment to telling sacred and secular stories and finding the common values, the empathy that lives in the spaces between, finding that capital T truth by way of many paths, trusting that they all lead the way to a common place, which is the beloved community. So whether we find deep peace in the wisdom of the Tao, or in the flow of a Tai Chi class, or in meditative practice with Buddhist or Franciscan monks, whether we find love centered in the stories of Jesus' healing, or the prophetic voices of the judges of the Jewish texts, or in the stories of Radha and Krishna, bound together forever in their divine dance of common understanding and eternal love. Whether we find our own still small voice in the waves washing against the shore on a beautiful beach, or in the midst of a din of protest chants, where the righteous multitude of voices crying out for justice uplifts our own spirit. Wherever and however you find your truth, the task of our Unitarian Universalist community together is to be the place where we find commonality and context and a deeper understanding of those moments where the sacred lives. Moments when we find a transcendence bringing us beyond the mundane and into a deep understanding of awe, of wonder, of beauty. And thus we come here each Sunday, back to our sanctuary, back to our community, back to the people who will listen to our hearts and resonate with our emotional experiences, mirroring as well as sparking our mental faculties as well. We are a people who believe that it is not a particular story, but the power of story itself, the story with a capital S, the actual existence of the act of telling and of listening that is sacred. Story is sacred. When we tell and when we listen. All this is what propels us forward out of our sanctuaries once again in the week to come, so that the story which is told can be lived once again. When we find beauty, so that we can recreate it and amplify it in the world, so that when we find love, we can spread love, build hope upon hope, deepen compassion, and find space in it for every person who is grieving or scared or saddened. To listen more fully and to speak more courageously is the power of our common congregational life. Like the pulsing of a heartbeat, we come together again to listen and to go forth, to listen and to act again and again each Sunday, each week, a pulse, each beat of this great heart, part of a great flow of people all across our denomination, making a world we would be proud to call our own, a world that we are content and joyful to live in. So let us be continuing one another together. Continue to be inspired by stories. Let us continue to ask one another about the deep truths of our lives. No shallow small talk, but deep wells of meaning and need and desire to be connected. Let us bring compassion to our hearing and depth of meaning to our words. May we be slow to speak in judgment and quick to hear the humanity in one another. For we are a people of stories, and we create this world for better or for worse, not in a single great act happening once and never again, but in the bits of care that we offer and receive each day, each week, each year, building upon the last. The moments in which we slow down to listen to one another and to that voice within our souls, offering the transforming power of love to all we encounter. This power of listening and telling, this is what binds us together as a religious people, as a people of faith, as Unitarian Universalists. It is in deep listening that I wish to create a ministry with you all. And it is in deep listening that I hope you too will create the ministry you wish for the world with one another as a community. So blessed be. Go forth in abundant love into the week ahead, and be for one another the beloved community that we were ever in the process of creating. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Elizabeth. Great message. Welcome to our fellowship. We're glad you're with us this weekend in person, and we look forward to being with you and you with us virtually or in person over the coming months. So each week in our church, we take up an offering. It used to be we would pass a basket here with one another. This is more virtual. But it still goes without saying. It's good to remind ourselves from time to time that the offering is symbolic as well as practical. We know that it is through pledges that we build our budget and fund our yearly programs, pay our minister, and the guests at our pulpit. We also finance the comfort in our space here at FOOF. Our offering says that the act of giving is as essential to our spiritual well-being as anything else we do when we're together on Sunday, virtually or in person. May we also remember our friends at Food Backpacks for Kids that provides meals to our students in Florence and Mapleton, those kids who might otherwise go more hungry during a weekend. A very vital organization providing a well-needed service to these particular kids and their families. We know that we can easily submit our pledge payments and contributions at any convenient time. You can mail it to our P.O. Box 2502, Florence 97439, Or you can click on the donate button on our website, florenceUUF.com. You can designate how much to FOOF and how much to food backpacks for kids. Thank you! Or you can give it to me personally. I just love that. You can designate how much you want to come to FOOF and how much you would like to go to food backpacks for kids, and we'll take care of it for you, okay? As we move forward with our offering here at FOOF and in your home, I invite you to repeat after me. Divine love through me, divine love through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am,
Blesses and multiplies all that I am,
all that I give,
all that I give,
and all that I receive.
and all that I receive.
I am prosperous now.
I am prosperous now.
Blessed be.
Blessed be.
So I invite you at home, and I invite Catherine to come back up as we extinguish our flame. So I share these words from Robin Gray. The flame in our chalice is extinguished, but not our hope for the future, our courage in the face of crisis, or the love we share in all the world. Blessed be. Okay, folks, we've come to the end of another fabulous Sunday service. It's time we close with our peace song. I asked Ray to charge up that music from Jeff Lovejoy, and I invite both Jay and Catherine to come on up as we sing our peace song. And I think we're probably going to do a Zoom call at 5 o'clock so we can debrief what happened over the weekend and come together again as community. You'll find the link in the e-blast, Zoom 5 p.m. Sunday. So come on forward. Let's sing our peace song.
Let this be the moment.